Welcome back. Here's where you left off. Spoilers ahead for Final Orbit by Chris Hatfield.
Final Orbit by Chris Hatfield. We finally finished the book. Now it's time to review it. We have a lot of things that we have to go through. We didn't go through it from the last episode because we decided to save it until now. There's a lot of things that we need to discuss. One of them is, well, actually, before we start asking questions, like, Derek, do you have any critiques on this one?
You know what? No, I mean, the thing about Chris's writing is that it's very technically minded. It's based in reality. It's written by somebody, a subject matter expert. And I really appreciate that about Chris. And I might have critiques about the book, sure, but what I don't have a critique about is the realism of the writing that he put into it and my appreciation for that writing. Because people, when you have people write about space and about so forth, it's not always accurate, and you do dispel belief. But when Chris is writing about it, and we talked about this in the last episode, when the Chinese is coming back through the atmosphere and his capsule is breaking up, we really enjoyed the way he wrote that out, and I thought it was really well written. And it wasn't, even though I didn't buy that it was the Apollo, even though he's trying to trick me. But I did appreciate the writing on that, and I got to give him some props on that. Really, I do.
Yeah, the whole book itself was very, very entertaining. For the past few books that we've read from him, it's a very entertaining book. It's very well researched. He is a SME because he is an astronaut. So there's a lot of things that came from his experience to this book. So that level of detail, we both appreciate, because it's a great way, because the author is not taking information and creating something that's brand new just to fit the narrative of the book or the research. But this one is pretty bang on, so it's nice. He did put creative writing on this. That's fine. I have no problems with that. And it's kind of funny though, because if you read at the end of the book, there's actually a list of characters that's who's actually fiction, who's not fiction, who's actually real life and all that stuff. So it's really nice to see that, because he took real life situation, real life people, and put it in this book, change it in a bit, but at the same time it gives you that, I should know more about Deke. I need to know more about whatever. So it's really nice to see that, and it's very, very good.
I love how I appreciate how he's like, so that I'm going to save the world and do my so you don't go searching through AI. I'm just going to list everything here so you don't have to go, destroy the planet by using AI to figure out whether this is real or not. I really appreciated that, him taking the time to do that. I thought that was a really stand-up thing to do.
That was the first time we saw something in that book since we started this podcast, right? Because I don't remember seeing anything.
Yeah, I know. It really is. I mean, to be fair, Chris is using a lot of historical facts. I mean, as we were reading through the book, we had discussed it before, that I was sitting back going, did that happen then? Did that happen then? I mean, he had me wonder. I mean, I knew a lot of the stuff that he put in the book, but not every last thing. Like, I did not know that Bush was the diplomat to China or what. I did not know that. I didn't know that. And so that was an interesting fact to learn, especially at the end of the book when we're going through all of that. I encourage everybody to read that, because it gives you the context of where did he make something up and where did he tell the truth about the actual historical event. And melding all those facts together is not easy. I mean, honestly, he wrote it all through, and he melded those things together in a very effective way that somebody like myself, who I consider to be well-versed on this, was also doubting myself. And I didn't go in AI search any of it. And the fact was, I was going to until the end of the book where he put the stuff in.
You Googled some of this information, didn't you?
No, that's why I said I appreciated the fact it was there. And it was there for us to sort of learn about and have that. And I mean, when we're thinking about the book as a whole, it was a great adventure. I think I do have some critiques of it, and I think that I wonder if Chris is setting us up for another book. It felt that way near the end of the book, to me at least. Did you have that sense that he was sort of setting up for the next book?
That's a very good question. To be honest with you, I really don't know because the way how the book ended feels like, remember, it started with the Apollo murders and it started where we are now, right? So it's all about the Cold War. It's all about that mission part, right? The only way this book continues if Kaz, the main protagonist, ending up doing something else outside space, right? So if that's the case, then yeah, there's go ahead, keep writing, and we'll keep reading it and review it. But if this storyline becomes 2 years or a few years later into the space shuttle program, I think we're in a point where we're stretching it now that it becomes a very repetitive book. But if you change it up a bit, then yeah, then he'll definitely it'll be a lot better. But I feel like this particular book itself, I think, is the end of this series. If he continues Kaz's storyline, it has to be something else outside NASA. That's how I see it.
I completely disagree with you, man. I absolutely, completely, hands down,
my God, here we go again.
With you.
Here completely. We go again.
Here it is. Because he has written about events that up to this point, I think it was like 75 or 70 whatever, so forth and so on. If he writes another book and he continues to go on in the future, he's into his own, time frame, almost into his own time within NASA. I mean, the knowledge he has, the insider knowledge he has would be profound as well. And about, the systems and mechanics and all of that of more current space programs and so forth, like the ISS and the shuttle, all of those things, which he is well familiar with, I would find fascinating. I think it would be a great way for him to come through. Hell, I think he would even get more technically mindful of it because he literally was trained on it. So that sounds like a lot of fun to me, considering he did he didn't fly on Apollo. He just researched it, right? He flew on the friggin' shuttle and the ISS and all that, so he knows what he's doing, right?
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He knows how everything works. And again, I have no problems with that. But the main question you actually asked me is this going to be the last one or is it going to continue? And to be honest with you, it is going to continue, but I'm hoping it'll be something different. All right, because I can't remember the book two's name, but it's all about the big plane landing in the desert, and you have the astronaut training with the cosmonaut. There's a lot of things actually happening with that one. That was nice. That was really nice. And to be honest with you, if you end up moving in that side of history of the Cold War, I'm definitely going to be open my arms out there. Please give us more, because it's actually super neat to read that kind of stuff, right? Especially in the storytelling. But this book itself is actually kind of it's sort of best way to describe it. It gives you a different look of what history is, what's actually happened in the Cold War, especially the space program, because the Russians and the Americans always had this head-to-head fight who's going to space first. The Americans went to the moon, they landed there. Next thing you know, the Russians were like, well, you beat us to us now, so we're done, right? Just imagine this, Derek. If the space wars, if the Russians ended up going to the moon and we ended up keep going there throughout the years itself, and the Chinese comes in, and the Japanese comes in, the European Union start coming and going to space, do you think we'll be colonizing moon a lot faster than us stopping after Apollo? Right. So.
Well, no. I mean, that's what they explore on the TV series For All Mankind. What would happen if the Russians got there first? And I mean, in reality, we're kind of living that in today's life as well with the Chinese. If the Chinese get there first, what's going to happen? The resources on the moon and so forth. I mean. So that's a whole different conversation for a different time. But you make a point. You make a good point there, and I think maybe that's the direction he might go in next, because he has two characters, Kaz and Savannah. Like she's there. She's been pivotal in the books, and I think he would continue on because those two characters have been the mainstay through all the books that he's done so far. And I think I enjoy having those characters around, and they also really bring a lot to each side of that coin of America, Russia, whatever you want to do. And he's in 75 or whatever. You go in the 80s, and then you're in the like Nixon and Star Wars and stuff. I mean, it's pretty bad, at that point.
Not Nixon.
Or
Reagan.
Reagan. Thank you, Reagan. Yeah, Reagan and Star Wars and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, it just gives you perspective because just imagine if this is where it becomes. Again, we're just going back to what we think is going to be the next one if he's continuing this. But if he does continue this, we just don't know how this is going to proceed to the next level of storytelling, especially for Kaz, especially for the space side of the storytelling. That's why I was very, very, very adamant that hopefully it's going to go away from that, or it's going to be a side story with it, right? But either way, let's talk about the book itself. What is the one thing... I'm going to ask you the same question I asked you in the last episode. What do you think about Kaz's being kidnapped?
I think it was the one thing in the book that was a little off, that didn't really seem like it fit. I think I would have preferred Chris to, have the Chinese notice him and say, we have to deal with this guy, versus them saying that Mao saying he has a plan to throw them off. Because really, I don't see the reason how Kaz getting kidnapped throws anyone off, other than somebody else has to take over Capcom.
Kaz.
I don't really see the point.
Exactly. So here's the thing, though, because after we recorded the last episode, and I was thinking about that, Kaz being kidnapped. There's two ways you can look at this. When Kaz could get kidnapped, the Chinese spy can do more damage, right? If Kaz shows up, he can actually he started noticing things in Capcom. He started noticing in NASA regarding the Chinese spy. But the question I have to ask myself is this, though. If you can actually help me answer this question. If Kaz never got kidnapped, you think he'll find the same... Is the conclusion of finding the spy the same way or differently?
That's a good question. Actually, that's a really good question, because he did not find the spy because he was captured. He found the spy through luck and chance by going by a room.
He went to the bathroom on the third floor.
Yeah, that was luck and chance. So, and weirdly enough, I was thinking about this, also, I was like, if you're a spy, why would you keep the door open and make a phone call to China or whatever you're doing and keep the door open?
Not a very smart spy.
No, not a very good spy. No. It's and why would you even do that in Chinese? Because that would be an oddity in that place as well. Keep it in English. Maybe somebody overhears something. They're like, that seemed a little weird, but you're not talking in Chinese.
It makes sense. What you're saying makes a lot of sense. If you're going to spy something, speak the language no one will single you out. It makes a lot of sense, right? But that was one of the biggest things that I have issues with is, why did he get kidnapped? Is the purpose of for Kaz not knowing who the spy is, or give him time for the spy to do whatever he needs to do? Or if you take the kidnapping side of it, he still shows up. Is him going to the bathroom equates him going to the third floor in both scenarios? So
honestly, I think that Chris needed something for Kaz to do in the middle of the book.
So it's a filler.
I mean, I think it was a filler. It's a filler. It's a filler for the character, not necessarily for the book. Does that make sense?
It was a big chunk of the. I think it was a chapter and a half, 2 chapters.
It was more than that. It was like 4 chapters.
It's 4 chapters of kidnapping.
Yeah.
Come on, that's more than a filler. That's that's a percentage now. So
that's I'm just a percentage saying, now. It's like 10% of the book or something.
No, it's not that. But you know what I mean. That was the biggest thing that I don't want to say annoyed about, but I'm kind of questioning heavy as a reader. Not the I'm not denying the scientific part of this. I'm not denying the technical aspect of it. I am questioning the storytelling of this particular scene that I'm questioning.
I mean, if you think about it, I'm sure maybe Chris had to. It feels like he had 2 stories he tried to put together. The first story was Kaz goes off base, finds something odd, starts investigating it, gets kidnapped for it. And then the other side is what's happening in space. And it feels like he kind of meshed two plot lines together that he had, and they didn't really intermix very well, right? Because nothing really impacted the other than Kaz being gone for a few hours and the mission control guy going, "Hey, where's Kaz?" And they're like, "Oh, he's not in yet." Everybody's like, "Okay, no problem." Like, there was no impact to mission control. Like,
exactly. That was one of the things that I don't want to say question, but I kind of like, questioning. If based on the book itself, the protocol is if according to Kaz, if I don't report in, they're gonna send someone in my place to find out where I am. Okay, it makes sense because they don't have email or text message or cell phone. Understandable. Process is there. It makes sense. The same thing happened in Apollo's, right? So you have to go physically go to their place to find out if they're okay, right? And just imagine this though: if they end up sending someone to Kaz's place and notice that he's not there, they're like, "Oh, he's not here. What are we gonna do now?" Right? If it's kidnapped, then they're just gonna look for him, right? If he didn't escape, if he didn't get a kidnap, he shows up. Everything is copacetic. Nothing can go wrong. There's a good chance the Chinese can still win this. Can get away with this. Can get away with this thing that they're doing if Kaz never got kidnapped, because Kaz's his sense of alertness isn't heightened up high enough that's like, I'm back at work.
I agree. I mean, his escape was fine. There was nothing wrong with the writing that he did for that. I just questioned the impact of it. I would have preferred if he got some information that led him to suspect the guy from his kidnapping. That would have been a little better to meld it together. That would have explained the reason for it, other than going to the bathroom. Because if he didn't go to the bathroom, he would never have known. Like, it's like if you didn't go to the bathroom.
It's all about the bathrooms, man.
It's all about the bathroom, man.
It's all about the bathrooms. The bathroom's the Achilles heel. That's why the Chinese lost. Because he went to the bathroom.
Well, I mean, if I'm being critical about the book, it's that was one part, and the other part was the Chinese guy just dying from deorbiting. Now, I think from Chris's perspective, that's a very realistic reality of that's a serious danger and completely accurate. It is a completely acceptable way to kill off the little Chinese guy. No problem. But from a reader's perspective, I was like, it was a bit anticlimactic in a sense. Nobody had to deal with him. It really didn't matter that he got away with the device or whatever, because he's dead. He burned up. The whole thing burned up. Like the Chinese were like, we lost it. So what are the Chinese going to do? Blame the Americans now that the capsule got damaged or whatever? I mean, it's still an international incident. The Chinese guy shot a Russian guy. I mean, all of that is a huge international incident boiling over. It's not like they didn't see the Chinese guy or whatever on the station. Remember, it's supposed to be all covert ops. Like, they never know that I'm there. None of that happened. Like, it was all out there,
Agreed. Like you said, that let's put in a couple of scenarios here. There's a couple of things that I agree with you 100%. This is supposed to be a covert thing. Here's the thing. If the Soyuz Apollo didn't have the original issue, they will still float there with not even knowing that the Chinese showed up in the Skylab, right? The scenario that became the point that something happened in Apollo Soyuz mission. They have to go to Skylab to theoretically put the bodies there, right? If that whole thing never happened, the Chinese shows up in Skylab, grab whatever they need, and leave with no issues. Okay, that's one scenario that's where the turning point is. Right. The last part of this whole thing is if the Chinese end up getting the equipment, right, and Kaz never considered rotating the space station and tried to damage the Chinese spacecraft. If that never happened, or the Chinese spacecraft never got hit, they got their mission is completed, right? So there's a lot of things that needs to be in a lot of unseen circumstances to make that's how the Chinese lost their only spacecraft. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things that if for example, if they end up saying yes, we need to go to Skylab to pick up this as part of mission already, and Chinese showing up there, then that's a problem. That becomes a very different conflict now, right? But they already released a press release that we're not even gonna go close to Skylab. We're just gonna do this handshake thing and go home, right? That's what the Chinese said. Let's go grab it now because no one's paying attention to us right now, right? And the other one as well too, that sort of a questioning as well too, for them launching a rocket from Russia, right, going orbit, right? What is the purpose of that? Is it another distraction? If it is, why? Because theoretically,
sorry. Continue your thought. I was gonna probably agree with you. Go on.
Yeah. So because when they launched that was pre-planned. That was pre-planned already. This is before the accident, right? So it's already pre-planned that they're going to launch this thing in Russian space. You get the Chinese launching their own rocket, and what is the purpose of this? That's the one I'm kind of.
I think it's a distraction. It's a distraction. That's exactly what I think it was supposed to be.
It was a planned distraction, though.
Distraction, yeah. So I mean, the idea was they're on the Soyuz Apollo together. They're having their handshake, and they shoot up a missile, and the Americans and the Russians get into a big heap of and ignore what's going over here at Skylab. Like, that's sort of the idea, I think. That was always the plan. So he's up there, he connects. Nobody's in Skylab. He just runs in, gets what he wants, undocks, and leaves, right? And that was the idea behind it. I think it was actually a really good plot point. As a misdirective point, I actually appreciated it a fair bit. I didn't object to it. I think the only thing I really object to is Kaz's kidnapping thing.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Plus the other one as well too, him dying like the Chinese astronaut dying like that. It was just anticlimactic. It's kind of like.
Well,
now
not for
I'm rooting
him.
For the Chinese
he died horribly. He died horribly.
I'm like rooting for the Chinese to succeed now because it's the most dumbest way to die, in my opinion. So that was the biggest thing that I'm questioning. Is there any other part of the book that you're questioning?
No, overall, I was thinking about this, and I think this was a much more integral weaving of plot points that Chris did in this book compared to the other books. The other books are very linear in their plots and so forth, and I felt like this is him reaching out and trying to do something more complicated with his writing. Certainly, the melding of historical facts was much more complicated in this one, I think, than the other books. Did you agree?
Yeah, this one feels a little bit more. It feels like it's more non-linear. You're right; it's more non-linear. It has more parallel storylines. I was hoping there was more. Overall, I was hoping the Chinese storyline is a bit more in your face. You know what I mean? Because it has a potential to really throw a very big plot twist overall. A very like what happened if the Chinese succeed, right? That will be a very great thing to say. Yes, they snuck in, they grab it. Now what they're gonna do next? I'm hoping that it'll be more like a naval battle at the end when they landed, right? That will be a little bit more like, hey, look at what's actually happening now, because now they have this two big storyline. One is Space trying to get home from a broken leg, and Deke is like freaking practically having a heart attack every couple minutes, and you have this thing happening in the Pacific Ocean, trying to stop the Chinese. To be honest with you, I was hoping that fighters were actually going to intercept the capsule landing and shut them down in the sky. that was one thing that I'm really hoping for. Not
that's an interesting thing. Like, it would have been interesting for him to land in the ocean and have an aircraft carrier right beside him and be like, "Hi,
that would
guys."
be amazing. Or get shot while parachuting down instead of like burning re-entry. That gives a little bit more like, that's more plausible than him burning in the atmosphere. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it's more plausible. I mean, spinning the space station to smack it with the
with whatever, with probably
whatever,
one of the solar panel arrays or something. But still, smacking something like that, damaging a heat tile that's a big chance. For him being shut down is more probable than burning in the atmosphere, in my opinion. This is just me. So
how are you going to rate the book, buddy? How's it going to go?
I am rating this 8 out of 10 because it was very entertaining, very well written. I love some of the conversation that they had. I love reading Kaz, because to be honest with you, Kaz is actually a very good character, and I'm hoping that if he does continue this storyline, I want Kaz to do something different. So I'm gonna give it 8 out of 10 because I want to see if there is a next book. How about you?
I'm going to completely agree with you. 8 out of 10, buddy. And I'm going to completely agree with your comments. I think I want Kaz to do something a little different. I would love him to do we joked earlier about the space camp thing, that'd be kind of funny to do, that he gets up there somehow. I know he's blind or whatever in one eye, but you know what? Guy's earned it. He's been around a long time. Just let him up there. Maybe he's a SME expert or something. Who knows? You don't know. Maybe he has to slip in for the last minute, on the shuttle or something, because, well, the shuttle's a little different. Who knows?
By accident. He fell asleep on the couch.
Yeah. He fell asleep, in the cargo bay when they were launching or something. Who knows? Just or kidnapping and take him up to space for some reason. Maybe, I can't think of anything.
Aliens.
Maybe aliens. Yeah, no, you know what? I'm hopeful Chris doesn't go that far. I really am hopeful. I really am. But I'm giving it 8 out of 10. My appreciation to Chris for writing such a great book again. And we're looking forward to having Kaz come back in the next book. Join us next time as we review Time Risk, Book 1 by Elise Douglas. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share a review. We love to hear from you. Send us an email at yourbookmarksinfo@gmail.com. Join us again right here where you left off.